SK, you could, if you watch that back early on, it was very exciting.
Well, it's a good start here for G2. Straight away, bodying 2 players. Connector will be safe, and they're just going to march on through just straight to a device. Though he could definitely have a good defense here. Just has to get those 1 pops. Can't quite find the first one though, and that might be the opportunity gone.
Blinded fourth back, and now his eyes have been closed by force. Glaive and Zipex trying to do what they can. Getting a kill from Zipex, but he's not expecting Apex with a superior angle, leaving Glaive alone. Not sure if his position's known. He could go for a hero defuse, just smoking the kit, but it seems he may try to save this for a rainy day. I don't think we see this often enough. I think it's hard for players to make this decision in a pistol round because you're only 1 shot away from killing any player at any time. But he may get some mileage out of this in the following round. So I like this.
It gives you a lot of leeway into the next round as well. Like, you know, we saw from Astralis, and I know you mentioned it yesterday, Bardoff, especially on the NA games, you don't see a lot of teams have the utility to kind of stall out in those second rounds. So having a smoke that you don't need to invest in, and then also the kit, if you do bring it into a 2-on-2 or a 3-on-3, you have a little bit more flexibility and still pressuring bomb sites if there's a plant in the second round, you know, taking your time a bit more in the retake. So it opens up some possibilities, but actually we're seeing Astralis do one of those buys where they don't invest into armor, so that $800 that we're seeing on pretty much everyone across the board is pretty much the utility that they'll have extra into the 4th round, which is smoke and flash at the very least.
I don't know how much Device just saw there. It's hard to tell sometimes with the border of the X-ray, but he will go for a 2-man setup around the toilets while G2 are going for one of these standard anti-ecos, just charging up long. Oh, maybe not. Going for the close quarters, jumping around the corners, playing the numbers game, just looking to trade if necessary, not allowing much to be set up by the CT side. So they've run through long, they've run through toilets, and they're clearing that connector as well. They may, I don't know if they've gone as far as to short B, but it seems they want to identify where Astralis are, and if they meet them on the way, then they'll just play the trade game.
It's a small amount of like around the world early on to just see if you're going to draw someone from B trying to come up those stairs, so not a bad idea. But I mean, look at these rotations they pulled up towards A. Now it's just a full execute, so this is really nice in terms of safety.
Yeah, it's working out really well. They've got the bomb side, they can plant safely in the front if they want, but they can also just kill everyone, which is the outcome essentially so far. But there it is. And again, due to the fact that Astralis are buying in the following round anyways, there's not a massive... Oh, sorry, not in the following round necessarily.
No, it won't be the following round.
Sorry. Yeah, so it doesn't really matter that they leave 2 players alive. It just does not really matter. Like, if they can make it so that they are going to survive with 5 players in this situation, that is by far more important than trying to proceed and push into a situation where you don't even have a favorable engagement to hazard yourself a kill. So I love that they're keeping 5 players strong. Let's see if they can apply the same level of safety to their following anti-eco rounds, because this was a pretty nice one.
Hey, they just played high percentage, right? I mean, it was like the death ball, the 1-4 death ball, take long, leave 1 person there, fire some shots of the smoke. The other 4 players are kind of running around looking for any kind of aggressive response on the other side of the map, clearing out positions together, and then you do the high percentage execute with smoke and all the choke points and the flashbangs over the wall as well, really mitigating the possibility of too much damage coming out from Astralis.
G2 this time will send the numbers towards short B. Flying player to run distraction. Body's been lost, but NBK has a strong angle. It's going to be hard to use the numbers game against him in such a tight choke point. Also, he's got support from Apex coming in from the back, so NBK doesn't even need to worry about reloading his gun, although Apex will close this one. And there we go. All good in the hood.
I like how MBK shot the stairs a little bit to be like, he's hit. Ever hit.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So it's worked out really well for G2, and they can continue with the Mac 10 if they want to, and potentially the Galil as well. I think they have one still.
Look at the utility really quick at the start of this round, because this is what, you know, if they buy armor, you know, Dupree has maybe a smoke flash instead of those 4 nades. Same with KRB. Device won't be able to have the AWP. So just that $800 goes a long way in this first round. And Zipmix was the only one who bought pistol and armor in the second round, and you can see his buy in comparison. And that is, I don't know if it's a missed timing from Device. Maybe not expecting Shocks to just full-blown rush like that.
Oh, G2 are pushing B in the meantime, maybe expecting a rotation towards A because they died so far forward, but Glaive in the Zipex position, while Zipex is up on the high grounds, will do great work and definitely stem the bleeding. Astralis quickly get their first round on the board. What do you think of that call from G2?
I would have liked to have seen them play it a little slower, but I don't mind it. They had the fight they wanted, right? They had Glaive here all alone for a good 5 seconds maybe. He took 2 fights, which is like, if they find a way to take him out, then they have a huge advantage in the round. So I mean, it's kind of a call where it got you the result you wanted to a certain degree, because you had an isolated fight, but you just don't win the battles. You didn't have any nades to really pressure them, and that's kind of what you lose. If that's more of like a slower paced set piece, yeah, there'll be a second player there, but Glaive likely has, you know, a few more flashbangs in his eyes, a few more Molotovs raining around him. The one thing you have to know about Glaive, though, is, you know, in terms of as in-game leaders go, he's one of those in-game leaders that has massive impact, and he is a double kill machine on the CT side of things.
Well, G2 will find themselves challenging the aimlock setup of Astralis. And there's still a player behind the tree, which they should realize. There it is, Dupree spotted out by Shocks in the end. And if you see one player there, it can often be that there is a setup with the second players nearby. And this is perfect for G2, a 3v3 with a minute remaining. They can collect the bomb now, and there's also ways to approach the situation. That is one of them. MBK actually catching Device, going for information. And now the 3v2. How do you do this if you're Astralis? They're opting to stack A, which is likely the most sensible solution. Glaive is going to separate for the time being now. The rotations are quick between the sites, so there is that.
Remember as well, Device was the one who had the AWP in the previous round and got taken out by that MAC-10. They weren't able to recover the AWP, so if he has an AWP instead of making that information play, he just stays far back at range. And maybe this is still a 3 versus 3. A lot of utility still on the G2 side of things for them to get this plant, get it down safely with 9 seconds left.
Bomb has been planted.
Glaive making a play. Not quite working out for him. NBK. He's been doing some nice stuff recently. Really sharp. Often not on the radar for G2 of the players you look out for explosiveness, but that's just because of his role.
I think everyone who watches Counter-Strike has has a player that they really just enjoy watching when he has one of those games, like just has like a perfect game essentially. And NBK for me is like that guy where we don't see it very often, like you said, but when he has a game where he just goes nuts, I think it's like one of the most exciting players to watch when he's having one of the monster games.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of watching NBK. Big fan of NBK. So many good players to watch these days.
Yeah,
This continues to rise.
we're very fortunate in that aspect.
Well, just pistols here for Astralis. Smoke onto the site for body. For those of you at home, if you stand by that barrel and drop a smoke, aiming at the top of the spire, it lands between the sandbags and that wood to help you get a bomb plant. If you're going to go for a rush B, always nice to have somebody drop the smoke. Make a plant more accessible. Numbers now streaming into the B bomb side for Astralis. And 2 G2 players will get isolated, and the remainder of G2 are quite spread out, so there's still opportunity for Astralis to rotate, but maybe Apex can put a stop to that.
Coming in through the back, there's some good information on the first player. And there is a second one to offer themselves up, as well as a third and a fourth, and Apex can't quite finish his meal, but his teammates should be able to. Kirby now start coming in from a horrible choke point. Smokes are there to cover though, so you can get into a forward position, but MBK's ready and waiting. So that's the 5-1. G2 looking pretty strong at the moment, not really allowing Astralis to get a grip of the economy, which is a really big problem on the CT side. You lose so many opportunities if you can't get aggressive as the CTs.
Still also not a great buy from Astralis as well, just because of that round one. The reset is a bit brutal in this round. That was cool from both teams actually. G2, those two players, Shocks and who was it? It was Body over towards the B bomb site. That was just kind of finding information, trying to take the jewels and the AKs. And Astralis picks a perfect location to have the fights. This boost comes into effect again. They did it the last round, but they didn't spot anything. This time it gets that kill pretty easily. So good advantage in a round where they don't have any utility advantages.
Really trying to slow things down. Device, will he escape? Maybe he will. Going back to the well and landing a lovely headshot onto Shocks, but he's been lost. Device and Dupree, the double Ds are gone. 3-on-3. And there's time for G2. Kirby will be left on the B bomb site on his own while Astralis send 2 towards A. And everything starts to slow down. 3 smokes on the 3 G2 players with some flashbangs as well, and they will start to try and make the A site as safe as possible for a potential plant.
Yeah, G2 going for the committed play. Astralis playing the defense. Been okay to begin with. Syntax with a 1-for-1. 40 seconds, plenty of time here for G2 to get themselves onto a plant. They have pushed CT defense back far enough, but the flank is what they have to worry about now. Kirby's coming in. Is definitely threatening to win the rounds here with this sort of a play. Spotted out there, gets a quick kill. Kenny S on the trade. Now he just has to turn his attention to Kirby. Another nade around the side as he buys additional time. Trying to play the angles here. Oh, there you go. That's beautiful from Kenny. And another round the way of G2.
One of the big strengths of this French team, and it always has been a French teams, is when they have that like switch, when they decide to pull the trigger and get aggressive, everyone does it at the same time, and it's just so unrelenting. And that's kind of the key to that round win, is the way that even though they took losses in Bathroom trying to take that map control, they get the trades perfectly. They go 1-for-1 on both of them because they're coming through the smoke. They know they've got Device in a really awkward spot where he has to stand and fight. He can't fall all the way back with an AWP, so they can really punish him. And that's just kind of a sick idea that sometimes you'll see in teams. Ooh, nice shot there from Kirby. But sometimes you'll see in teams like 2 players want to do that, and maybe like 1 or 2 players aren't in the mood to run through the smoke, so it's very disjointed, and it ends up just punishing them in that sense. So G2, that's one thing they've never really had to worry about, to be fair.
And that's pretty huge, because another thing that you wanted Apex to do perhaps was to check through the door into sewers, because right now G2 have had no vision on sewers, so they have no idea if there's anyone in those positions, so they just have to gamble on Monster, and that can work out if they're connecting these shots. But Kirby still providing problems with that Deagle.
Has Shocks been spotted? I don't think he has. So maybe his team can make use of this. They still have time. So NBK will announce his position and force some players away, but will they compromise their position in terms of Shocks? NBK is trying to bait them into that situation. 2 versus 3, but there is strength in the CT water, if you will. And those are common positions for Astralis. A nice shot. Looking for more info. Again, Shocks is still the ace in the hole here. Holding angles towards short. Still hiding away, but now suddenly the numbers will double for G2 as they push throughout this area. There goes Glaive, leaving Device on short, waiting for that bomb plant. It has to go down. Got to creep for the smoke with good timing, but NBK detected something. That was smart from him. He wanted to emerge before the plant goes down. Try and catch them at awkward timing, but it didn't quite work out.
What a disgusting amount of patience from G2 as well in that scenario. Just Shocks just sitting there, knows he's got at least one angle safe for NBK. The impromptu Molotov. I mean, that's one of those things that always goes underrated. We always take for granted that professional players will know all these smokes and Molotov. And granted, that's a pretty common one, but I mean, you know, just knowing those smokes, and that's why you need to know so many smokes as a professional players for situations like that. Even if it's not the simple one that we just saw, it is something where you say, you know, just in case we're ever in a situation where we need some kind of a smoke or flash or Molotov to come out, to clear a difficult position,
Yeah.
you have someone who knows it,
It's very often one person on a team who knows all the smokes, and then
everyone else just knows the smokes they need for each specific tactic.
Exactly. I remember when I first met Fnatic. Well, I'll talk about it. And then another round, Kenny missing an important shot. Minute 10 on the clock, and the bomb will have to be collected by one of these players, which is really annoying when you've only got 3 players left because you are trying to gain ground at the same time, and you've got to do more than one job. So Shox will move into this position quickly. This is a must-win duel, and he won't win it. That's the bomb loss, and probably the round as well. 2 versus 5. The bomb in connector. They may go in, but they won't come back out again.
They just need to do some damage now. That's all you really want.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing critically, because it's Dupree who just wins every single fight. They don't lose a whole lot in this round, do they? As I say that, Apex could tax them on towards the end, but so far it's not happening and it's not looking likely. That's stressful. Hard to hit a clean shot when you're getting spammed in the head through the door.
And there it is. Astralis do what they needed to do, which is to take a round pretty clean. But there's still more money to be removed from the GT side, so they've got to concern themselves with that. Dupree. Good punishes there from him. Okay, so now we've seen some good aggressions from Astralis, and again, they're a team that's very cognizant of that, and they play that style very well, generally speaking. I think G2, I feel like when they're playing an opponent like Astralis, they themselves are lifted a bit just due to that level of respect that they have and the rivalry that they have with the players from Astralis.
Well, I mean, this kind of style of play and this level that we're seeing from G2 is one of those. It's the one that makes you really frustrated for this team, because you wish they could just be consistent with it. But this team has such a high ceiling. Just don't. I mean, that's always been the criticism of them, is they just don't get there frequently enough to make those consistently deep runs in every single tournament. That's scary. That's the bomb down, and this is maybe Shox going a bit too aggressive. Maybe not even realizing he has the bomb, but. I mean, look at Dupree flashing right through as well. Doesn't initially see one, but recovers nicely. Body was completely blind. And in all the bedlam, it's Astralis that comes out on top.
Oh, wow. Damn, son.
Whoa, I've never seen that before. I've never seen someone actually land that before. That was deep. Deep into the wall.
Deep inside.
To the
Straight
shoulder,
on
James.
the dome.
To the shoulder.
Yeah, that was Flash Gordon deep.
Boom.
Look at you, man. Flash Gordon, the references.
I'm in now.
Didn't even know what it was yesterday.
I watched the one clip. I'm good.
Awesome. With the wood thing.
The wood piece. Oh god.
That grenade could have been a lot of things, but now Dupree's made it hard for himself to peek because of the open door. He's going to get his bell rung, but he'll go back and harass a bit more and a bit more. Could have teammate flash for him as well. He will just smoke himself off.
I actually like that he smoked that position, because if he was to smoke the actual corridor, then G2 they're just stuck there. They can't do anything. It's like a smoke which basically stops any action from happening until the smoke goes away. So it's kind of nice that you give them a funnel. You give them the choice. If they want to push forwards, they have to go through into device through the door. So I liked it.
Couple really clean rounds for Astralis now, and they've seen a complete turnaround in their money situation. This is really nice. Now they have all the nades, they've got the kits, they can rebuy the AWPs as well. They have probably 2 losses built up in the bank so far, which is always nice. And you have a 5 AK tactic from G2.
Well, let's see if Astralis can make much of these positions. Kiabi around the fountain, lurking like a drug dealer at the back of a playground. Kenny gets taken down. Will they settle for this though? Will they go for start to back up? Molotov will help secure their retreat, and now G2 will have to spend time making sure all these angles are safe, and it may cost them while they do that. Apex going very slowly into a common angle for an AWP. They may be expecting the CT side, and there may be no kills in this round for G2.
Now that Astralis has been able to have all their utility and have the op firmly in Device's hands, like G2's not getting the initial fights that they would like. They're not finding those kind of individual picks that they were able to get in some of the previous rounds. This utility from Astralis is doing a really good job of making them feel safe in kind of the aggressive plays they want to do. So Astralis has found the momentum. They've got a firm grip on the game, and they're creeping closer to evening things out. So this is what, 7-1 at one point. So it's been 4 straight for Astralis.
Pistols there for G2 then. Astralis managing to avoid any catastrophes so far, playing passively in the face of potential bum rushes.
Ooh.
That's a nice one from MBK. Looking to continue, but he gets shut down, and his free's looking pretty good. We have a sneaky sneak here. Apex trying to get himself onto the A sites. Avoided detection so far, but now all the attention's on him. Oh, that's a nice one. One more player though around the lock position. Oh, so close. That would have been interesting if he actually gets that kill. What happens? But the bomb is of course miles away.
Yeah, likely doesn't win, but that third kill is always like the really, that's the payoff in those rounds, isn't it?
It's scary. But it's fine. We're towards the end of the half now, and G2, they've been stuck firmly on 7 for a while. Astralis with a really good resurgence. They're looking really comfortable now.
See if Astralis go for the aggression from the benches once more. The smoke always suggests it, which will slow down G2 early on. 2 plays in the playground for G2. Looking at the pretty flowers. Apex has got reasonable cover from the flashbang, but he's not really going to be hit by any flashbangs from that position. Under the slide.
This is the big fight. I can see MBK pre-aiming it, but Dupree's been a menace in these. And the crazy thing is, you almost wonder, with G2 having 3 players essentially at the fountain, why is there not like better coordination on the pitch there? Regardless, I think they've kind of been put a little passive in that aspect because of the op of Device. But Dupree is controlling so much of this map. He's just now falling away.
Device patience as ever, and that may be rewarding him. It will. Additional players to perhaps challenge for a trade, but it might not be a wise decision without any utility. Try peek into Device. That's another one for him now, as there's only 2 remaining in total for G2, but Device will take care of that. Kinyes has been waiting, but he will not be given a single thing.
That's the first bullet he's fired with this AWP as well. He hasn't gotten into the action at all. So, I mean, I was praising G2 for how well they took bathrooms earlier in this half, with the suffocating and the trading and constantly going forward. Well, these past few rounds they've tried to take bathroom control. I mean, this time they get picked off by Device one by one. There's no kind of coordinated hit to really control that portion of the map, and G2, they've never picked up the pace again ever since Astralis grabbed the momentum.
Device was everywhere. Very awkward peaks for G2. Is he here? Yes, he is, and I'm dead. Last round of the first half, no sniper for G2, but as we saw it, there wasn't much impact in the last round. Now it's Dupree's turn to take W's position and get pretty aggressive. Only good for the 1 kill though. We'll see if his teammates can get anything else. No support for him. That deep he was sent in, Lone Ranger. G2 continue to push up. Flashbang. Device maybe expecting it. Standing facing the wall as he often does. He'll go down those occasions. It's ironic. I think it was. Ooh, this could be awkward.
What a weird peek. Karabi's got to be so mad about that.
I think it was. Oh, I forget what team, but Device on Old Dust 2. On a CT side, he would get boosted on shorts with the AWP, and he would just face the wall because I think it might have been G2 as well. They would always pop flash lower tunnel before sending the person down there. So you would stand on short and just face the wall, wait for the flash, and then turn and look towards lower tunnel afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, it makes the shot more difficult, obviously, because you have less time to kind of set up and react. But if it's well practiced, obviously, it can be super effective.
Smoke we spoke about earlier. Top of the spire. But Glaive knows it's a lie.
Yeah, it's really important to have just a look on sewers. Tells you so much. And Zipex can get forward in front of that Molotov for the frag. That's going to be really powerful now. Just having that long position. The flashbang was stellar there. Kirby completely without vision. Zipex looking to go back in, having to sacrifice his position. And G2 pick up the last round. It's been a great string of rounds though for Astralis, 6 in a row. So really good effort from them.
Look at Dupree. He was such a monster. I mean, he was a big key for Astralis. Even to go back to the first round, or the second round they had won, to get that streak of 6 really started was his 3-kill that allowed them to win their first round with so many players surviving to really just get the economy kicked off in the right way. So huge performance, huge impact from Dupree. But still, G2 going to go in with an 8-7 lead onto the CT side.
I wonder what Astralis have in mind. 2 smokes, 2 flashes, but the smokes are of most interest. It's a nice play there from Kirby, sliding into the corner. And Shock's up to his usual tricks with the P2000. 3 P2000s on the team, actually. Body and NB. Where's NBK gone?
That's a P2000. Yeah.
It looks different to the other 2.
It does a little bit, doesn't it?
It doesn't have the
Listen,
thing
Shox's name for his gun is "This shit is sexy."
That is correct. So they have the same pistol, but it looks different on the HUD. That's really weird. That is very, very strange. It's literally a different... It's different. Why is it different? It doesn't have the little notch on the top.
Yeah.
That's really bizarre. Valve, please, cannot unsee.
Maybe he's got some OP P2000.
They confuse me so much. Anyway, Astralis have deployed their 2 smokes and one of their 2 flashes. I'm sure they've come and gone. And they're creeping in. It is B, no grenades. A slight shoulder pick from Zipex will force some CTs back. There's that last flashback, but it will have no effect. Shooting gallery for the G2 side. Well, yet to lose a player. There's Device with the P250. Got a bit better armor penetration, but he can't escape to reload the gun.
Does Body have a P250? Because that was the same. They both have the notch. I don't know. I think I'm going mental now.
No, the P250's got a bigger barrel on the HUD. It's a taller barrel rather. Yeah, it is confusing, isn't it?
I don't know if I can continue the day after that.
Yeah, that's really confusing.
I will be writing to Valve.
Henceforth.
Send a reminder to my.
Well, that is connector under control for G2. You got to be careful with these pistols running amok, but the double peek hit quite good for the G2 side. That said, huge amount of damage, and Device has come away with an M4 and a lot of health, so that's the end of Kenny. Now the round is really highly winnable. Glaive can just take the bomb up to A if he wants to, or they could use Device as a distraction. Glaive is quite far away. Device, oh, he had to get that kill, and now you can't enjoy Glaive's chances.
He'll at least get a plant, obviously. If the nade could come... Oh, it's an NBK, not Body. He's the first one here. But yeah, not a whole lot of opportunity here. He's got to find some sick timing with this flash, doesn't he, when he hears the footsteps and completely blind an opponent. Either way, still what you would call a success for the Astralis side.
What he needs to do, right, throw the flash, then throw the decoy, and run out with the decoy. That is the winning play here.
Sorry.
Oh,
See, Bardolph now. Bounce an obvious flash off the wall, throw the decoy off the wall, run in with the decoy, win the round. That's the winning play.
I would have liked to see it. Not a whole lot he could have done though. I like that he saved the weapon, to be honest, because you can drop, a CZ over. You've got armor, so you've got a little bit of weaponry into this. They've done some good damage. Great response though from Astralis in that round. After all the aggression from G2 down these stairs, for them to make the rebuttal, yeah, we just lost 2 players in stairs, but when G2 have 2 players there, that means we can start pushing up and trying to aggressively hit bathrooms and see if we can make something happen, and they did just that.
There's a forward spot for Shocks. It's going to be good for a kill. Lots of MP9s these days. I think people are getting much better at using them and realizing how effective that fast fire rate can be. Even against helmets, you know, if you're in those close ranges, get the fast fire rate, if you can control it, can give you a quick kill. So,
Boom! He got exploded.
7 to 11. Astralis on the AKs now. So, with all the utility in the world, I would expect the slow rounds. I would expect them to, you know, just go for a default, take map control towards the toilets, towards sewers as well. Just take away the entire map. They should be able to bully G2 off these positions, especially the long range ones, just because of the MP9s and the FAMASs that are on G2. I mean, it's a worrying round from that perspective, but if they somehow convert on this round,
Yeah,
they're going to make so much money.
They're sitting pretty, won't they?
Yeah.
That's the big thing for G2 is fight selection and fight management. You know, where are you putting yourself in position to make these MP9s effective? Where the FAMAS can be. You can saw the only M4 on the board for G2 is over at the B bomb site and it was boosted. So you really want the FAMAS and the M4 to be the point of attack, the point of contact, and the MP9s used just to keep spacing, to be close up and to be a menace around the close corners. Not as easy as it sounds.
No, and G2 are just playing really, just very passively. Only Shocks playing a forward position, everyone else on the side itself. And Astralis are indeed taking map control. They've got it long. They didn't really take toilets yet, but they have sewers, they have monster, they have almost everything.
This is not a great setup though at the B bomb site with those 2 players. They've just now shifted over to have more attention towards monster, get close up. This is a little better. They will need a 3rd person though at some point.
Yeah, they absolutely will. It's going to be difficult to get any love on that flank, as Astralis should be able to hold on to sewers pretty effectively. We'll see though. All the nades are coming in. The push has been initiated. Body, great damage there as they start to challenge him through that monster tunnel. Assistance comes in. It's good as well. And that's the round quite easily and handily dealt with by G2.
Well, alright then. I think that is the definition of a bonus round, Dan.
That is so sick.
They've upgraded to 3 AK-47s. This was just great timing on utility. As soon as those hits came in, even with the low economy, like Molotov comes out into Monster at the right moment, Molotov comes out towards Sandbags at the right moment, those Molotovs are what allowed the rotation to get there in time, and then in a follow-up smoke as well is what's just like when Astralis already throws all their utility for the execute, they're just like, alright, well, we've blown our load. We just have to go right through this smoke. We have to. And it's easy kills.
So how much money did G2 have now? Like, is it like 6k on everyone? Yeah, basically 6k on
6k
everyone.
plus, yeah.
And they have 4 AKs. Oh my god. That's so insane.
Yeah, you love to see that, don't you? Even your Opper's got a FAMAS, so he's going to be able to upgrade to the next round. He hasn't had to spend any money on that expensive weapon. And very confident taking these tools, even against Deagles.
And somehow still completely fine. So, not the same story for Shocks though, but Apex is going to help him out there. And one by one, the Danes will be implanted in the grounds. That said, so with the Frenchmen, everyone's being put in the ground, it seems.
Yeah, it does seem like G2, there's a couple rounds now where they've gotten like...
A little bit sloppy.
I don't know if yeah, sloppy actually is a pretty decent way to say it. I mean, they handle the initial action very, very well, but, you know, once the fights are taking place past like 15, 20 seconds, they seem to get very spread out and isolated, and,
yes.
You know, Shocks being the aggressor there, he was picked off alone. Kenny couldn't really fall back, he got picked off. Apex was getting wrapped on, so... It's not like a game-changing thing, but it does eat in like that economy that was so strong. It's still strong. They've still got plenty of money, but like those are the things those are deaths you don't need to take.
But it could have been so much more.
Exactly, it could have been better. So it is a little nitpicky, but
yes, it is. It's just you never like to see them lose out in that way on a anti-eco. That's That's really it, I suppose. But now it's full buy for Astralis, and it's another round where they have decent selection utility, but I would probably expect a faster pace than the previous rounds. You can already see that they are abandoning the idea of a default. There's not really enough players towards A that could suggest that they would be able to have enough to take proper map control and pressure D2 away from forward positions. So that in turn puts a time limit on their movement towards B. If they want to hit B, they have to go fairly quickly before G2 start pushing the A side of the map.
Glaive creeping into short B. Dupree's in connector. Shocks maybe already has an inkling as to what might be going on. A lack of sounds towards A may make him wonder what could be. 40 seconds, and look at all the utility that G2 are using, whereas Astralis are just sitting on tons of flashes, tons of Molotov, tons of smokes, and G2 don't really have that much information. Shocks can jump, he can try and get some info. He'll see one person setting up for grenades, but what does it mean? Wadi going for a timely push, trying to avoid some flashbangs, trying to block players who might be pushing long, but they're all coming in from short for the most part. He will get sprayed while looking away. All the kills coming the way of Astralis. Nothing doing for G2 just yet. Apex finally charging in from short, but that will be a clean round from Astralis.
Yeah, you see a really cool adjustment from Astralis there. The last time they tried to do that was Body on the other side of the smoke that sprayed down 2. That really slowed things down. That kind of, ensured that G2 was going to have an easy win. This time, Astralis has a similar or the same execution, and just their players just leave Monster and go up towards Catwalk. And I think the key to that was, the first time we saw it as well, G2 timed their utility so very well. Molotovs and the choke points as soon as the nades were streaming out. This time we saw Shocks just kind of throw everything he had before the pressure really hit. So when the execute did come in, there was nothing to slow down Astralis. And now you start to see that beautiful, beautiful bank of G2 whittle away.
Kenny has bought himself an M4 and can only afford a smoke grenade, but he will be dropped in AWP, so it's not a terrible concern, really. NBK will pick up the second AWP. Double up on Overpass CC side for G2. This is not a common place you see NBK or Pink necessarily. Usual Molotov onto short B, and Astralis looking for a faster play into this position, but this boost has been so common now. Made its way back into the meta, and it's proving effective.
Whoa. Glaive just walked into the fire. This is like old school Astralis slash TSM device with an AK-47. Dueling, isolating a fight towards long A. That's like a fight he's always loved to take, but I don't think he's going to find anything here this time. That's a huge miss for NBK.
From the back, and that's going to apply all sorts of pressure as Astralis try to take this bomb site, and they're going to actually evacuate. We've got a minute to play with a 3v3. Zipex on the fadeaway tries to take an engagement, but finds himself losing out there, so that is suboptimal for the Astralis side. Apex won't be quite in position to stop a bomb, but he can hear things at least, which is always nice. Oh, Device going to push this position. Apex makes it work. Oh wow, he sure does make it work. Works all the way.
That's actually pretty sick. G2 is, I feel like they're almost fortunate to get out with that round win, because Kenny and NBK both had the AWPs just holding angles and both miss pretty standard shots for an AWPer, or a secondary AWPer for that matter. And I think that the tough part is Astralis Device opened up that backside with that kill on Kenny and Danger Stairs. That's why the retreat was happening, but really good decision by G2 when they felt the pressure subside at the B bomb site. If you let him get away, if you let all three, that becomes so much more difficult. So chasing down that one last kill in Monster, right? Like they went and double peeked that, made sure they had that kill, make sure they secured the advantage. I guess Device thought that the timing was going to be different because he seemed pretty nonchalant pushing towards Bank. I guess in his brain he didn't think there was any way Apex would be back in time.
Yeah, it definitely looked like that at least, but G2 have to convert on their advantage and back into the double ops for them. It's quite cool to see MBK on it and not Shock's choice. But maybe Shox feels differently as he goes for that close range battle. He will feel the wrath of Device. This will work wonders for Astralis' ability to take map control.
Ooh. They've spammed A with grenades and they've pulled Body to rotate towards the A site. They're going for a fast B play. NBK needs to buy time for his team. This time he can't miss the shots, and he won't. That's the bomb drop on its own in the short B position. That will slow them down. That will force them out of position to try and retrieve it, but Dupree will simply do what needs to be done. 2 headshots for him, giving his team a man advantage and position.
Bomb has been planted.
Don't like to see that. That's actually a really cool round if you watch from Body's perspective, how like your decision making changes based on the areas your teammate controls. Because you can see he wanted to push out, he wanted to get all the way into water towards the bomb site as long as NBK was alive. And as soon as NBK died, he was stuck in like this really weird timing where he had half a second to kind of choose if he wanted to continue to push forward or if he wanted to fall back. And that just gave like the Dupree the space he needed to swing out and just take those fights very, very confidently. But if NBK had just lived for even just a second more, then I think Body might be getting into a position where he can have more of an impact on that round.
It's back to the pistols for G2. And we're going to see Shox with his unique P2000 icon. Dupree. Go for that fast pick there, fast info. He's going to fall short, give up the AK to Apex. The only man with Kevlar on the team, but he's already weakened. And Astralis will make a quick run up long. Ooh, they just leapfrog over Shox. I think they did.
Cue the Jaws music.
Here we go, that PT1000. If only it was a USP. He has to get close, he's got it, he can't mess this up. Wait for the perfect moment. There it is! Gets the AWP, his teammates have held on for long enough on the site, and now Shox is initiated. But does he realize there's a player in bank? That could be an issue, doesn't even matter. Wide peek from Zipex does the job.
That's the round for Astralis.
It took Shox so long to get to a position where he felt comfortable taking that fight from behind. And all of his teammates in the meanwhile are dying. They're like, Shox, please. Please.
So the buy returns for G2, but now the money is getting critical. That said, they've got a 4-round lead, so there is time to build should it be required, but they won't want Astralis catching up to their score. Seen a lot of Molotovs in that position. Can throw smokes there as well early on. Nice to see Kenny delivering a kill early for G2. The one sniper in this round for the French side. Device will be his counterpart on Astralis. Zipex trying to even the numbers to flashback to his teammate, but didn't do much. Trying to escape with his knife out, but he was far too deep. The man advantage retains for G2. Might get better though, because Device is caught with a grenade in his hand. Problems for Astralis.
Dupree could find a way in though. Oh, that's a really timely peek from Apex. Body, sorry. That was a very timely peek indeed. I think if that came maybe a second later, there's a really sick position for Dupree there, but now it's on Glaive. Here he goes from long. The positioning here is pretty good for G2 though. It's hard for them to mess this one up. Position given away now as well. Good grenades coming out from Glaive. G2 just buying time, forcing him to plant the bomb by not revealing their positions until they need to. G2 15 and Astralis 10.
I thought that was super cool. The way that, I mean, it's just a pretty simple bait and switch setup with NBK with the UMP close up, but that's what I talked about earlier when I mentioned the SMGs being used to keep spacing. Is have that M4 as kind of like the ranged fight, and then the SMG pounces, and you can see Body just gives up that fight. I think you can always choose to like stick around and take that battle, but why even take the risk when you have a teammate who's in perfect position to pounce? So that was really cool by G2, and then combined with the pick from Kenny, makes the round so difficult. And this is probably the lowest nades we've seen Astralis on their T side in some time, so gonna have a very, very difficult time taking that map control that they like. And I'm not sure if Device was meant to bounce that nade, but he gets style points because it works out.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Glade's been picked off through Monster Tunnel. I don't know if that means that that bomb has been spotted. Oh, goodbye, body. Well, that will take one player away from B. I was going to say G2 were retracting from deep positions in A anyway. But that will leave one person A and 3 people B. NBK, I think he may have seen one person. Doesn't realize when it's up, the flash is there, but everybody is blind. But it's Astralis losing the players there. Can he deliver more? He can't. Gets caught out, leaving Apex by the barrels. We're looking for him. Turns away, asking for the beatings to stop, but they don't. Shocks in the 1 versus 2. Smokes on the site. Do they know that he's in the site? Apparently they do.
That's an awkward angle where Shocks couldn't see their feet to freaking see him. He was turning from that at Toxic because Shocks had just thrown a flashbang,
Yeah.
and it was just a little late, which is unfortunate. They had a pretty good setup at that B bomb set, all things considered, just can't convert it. So they'll have to sit around out. No reason to get too aggressive with the economy, please, G2, and be conservative, and then go to the next round with a strong buy. They've got maybe like 2 really solid chances at closing this match out in regulation.
Wait, Shocks has picked up someone's PT USP.
Sometimes there's mileage. There's like odd situations where you want to borrow a USB. I remember I had a situation once like that where I wanted to do something. I wanted to make a specific play with a USB, and I asked someone to drop it, and he was like, "You should have equipped it if you wanted one." I was just like, "You're an idiot. Never play that guy again."
That would be my response as well. You should probably equip one. I mean, you can see that Shocks really wanted one in that engagement on long, where he's like has to walk so far up because he's afraid if he fires the first shot and it's not perfect, that he's just gonna die. because
I want to know what you wanted to do, James, with the USP.
It was so long ago that I can't quite remember, but I think there are some situations where if you can get into a certain position with a silent USB, then you can get a bit more mileage out of your position because it's going to take them slightly longer to
Because of the silence.
figure out where you are. Right? Yeah.
You
so
wanted to play that position on Dust 2, didn't you? On long, behind the fire behind the car.
it may
I
have
bet
been.
it was.
It probably was that actually. Yeah.
That was the position. I know it must be.
It probably was that actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a situation where most of the time the P2000 is fine, but for that particular position,
Yeah.
you can abuse it a bit longer before they realize what's going on. And where the other guy just wants to randomly do not much of anything with his, just give up the USP, man. Just give it up.
I find it hilarious that there's just some 12-year-old out there who just ruined your day of gaming by not giving you a PT or USB.
I was tilted.
It's a tilting smoke that somehow works out for G2.
Kirby though, can he make sense of this situation? Not with Kenny firing everywhere. Oh my god, is he going to win this single-handedly? 4 versus 2, 3 versus 1. Zipex alone, wondering what on earth has happened in this connector. There are bodies everywhere. Shocks of an off angle. Walking into a crossfire just at the wrong time. That'll be enough for G2 to take the victory on Overpass.
Congratulations, Glaive, on your Gamma case.
Nice.
Oh, we've got hiccups now.
What a disgusting sequence from